Hello, hello. Welcome back to another journal reading. Let's dive right in. December 28th, 1980. Oh, quite an interesting day today. I got up at 10 a.m. dreaming of horny things, so I got up and went to the bathroom and basically took care of it. Sat down a while at the kitchen table to collect my thoughts and see what course of action I would take today. I talked with Joe a while and then had breakfast, hot dog and grapefruit. I started cleaning my room, but got into painting my cinder blocks, black, the ones my stereos sit on. I got through that, but then started up in making a TV shelf. I worked on that almost all day, but I'm rewarded well because I'm looking up at an excellently placed TV. The parents came home after a while, and my father checked up on what I was doing. I finished up, Dan was with me, and got it set up on my wall. I was going to do more, but just involved in playing games with everyone else. I then had supper, chatted with a while for the rest of 2 hours. I've been in my room here writing and watching TV. Since I already said that I thought I hit rock bottom in my attitude, today I just decided to start feeling better. I won't detail, but I will just go through the steps. Sorry, I have this belief that I might screw things up if I write about it. Sorry. Hey, this entry took 2 hours to write, so I'm going to quit. Talk laters. That was disappointing. What is the point of the journal if you don't want to write about it? It gets better. I promise you. Moving on. December 29th, 1980. During the day, I thought about my log, but got this feeling that lately I haven't cared about it too much. I didn't figure out why, and I'm not going to because that leaves one extra thing to do in my life if I decide to start writing excellent entries. I believe my problem of late and always are I try to do too much with my brain at a time when I haven't learned how to yet effectively. I'm working on a few things at a time, and that's leaving this log out for a while. It really does take a lot of work to write a good entry, and besides, I knew I wanted to try out not really putting much effort in my log. So, going along with that, I'm going to bring this entry to a close. It was an ordinary vacation day. I just cleaned up and messed around enjoying myself. Tomorrow we go to Connecticut. Shot my gun, finished my room. I'm always trying to prove or explain my thinking. I'll just start this at the front. Well, typical journal writing blues. It's Christmas vacation. I'm sort of in a shutdown mode and complaining about how difficult it is to write. Nah, no kidding. But I think the takeaway is I was still doing it. If you don't feel like writing, just say you don't feel like writing. Just the act of writing every day is what's important. It's the discipline. It's the discipline. That's the most important thing. And those moments of inspiration will come. It's like any writing or any kind of project you do. Anyway, you don't need my wisdom. Let's finish up here. December 30th, 1980. I brought along these little sheets of paper just in case I would want to write a little something for an entry. We have just started our 3-hour ride to Madison, Connecticut. I was feeling all excited about going back to my old home state, but that was until I got in the freezing cold car. I still am, though, excited. This trip, however, brings out my desire to visit Glastonbury again, my old hometown. I still feel as if Connecticut was and is my, wow, my father just turned into a guy. That guy slammed on his brakes fast enough. That pisses me off, my father making that mistake. Where was I? Oh yeah. I consider, when I think of it, Connecticut my old home. because it was the last place I lived when things were one piece, meaning I switch my life between Hawaii and New York often, so I don't consider either one of them a home. See? That leaves Connecticut. Well, I'm going to do something else, work in my personality test book. Here's a letter I wrote. What's it about? Let's check it out. Dear Mr. Taylor, enclosed with this first letter is one I wrote you a few days ago that did not make the mail before I had reason to write this one. You should read it to understand my point. I have received the first free introductory issue and have looked through it carefully. I feel that it does not interest me enough at this time to buy a subscription. However, I would like to thank Discovery Magazine for allowing me the opportunity to check into new sources of knowledge. Again, my thanks. Aw, what a sweet guy. So I was an Army brat. I was born in Heidelberg, Germany, where my father was stationed, and then grew up my childhood in Columbus, Georgia, Fort Benning. And then about 1975, my father was transferred up to Connecticut to work in Hartford. And so Connecticut was a place that I lived while my parents were still married. It was in Connecticut is where my parents got divorced. So when I say I consider Connecticut to be the place where things were intact or together, yeah, that was before my parents went their separate ways and I was alternating living between Hawaii and New York. So that's just a little explanation of that. I also want to comment on my unhappiness with my dad, pissed off at him for making a driving mistake. You know, that's sort of like the reverse pride, that happens when parents get upset with kids for making mistakes, you know. I remember now having a lot of respect for my father and high demands. I thought he was my God. He could do no wrong. And whenever he'd screw up, I remember it would make me mad, especially something like that, driving in the car. Because, dads are always grumbling at other drivers who keep making mistakes. Whenever he made a mistake, it really kind of got to me. I'm glad I captured that little moment. I kind of forgot about that. Anyway, thanks for listening to this read. Hope you enjoyed it. Catch you tomorrow. Oh, one more thing about that letter that I wrote to Mr. Taylor of Discovery Magazine. I was a big letter writer at a young age. So I don't know if because I was a letter writer, I was also a journaler, or being a journaler aided the letter writing. I think it's all the same. But the point is, I wrote a lot of people, and to me, I was exercising respect. I thought it was always very respectful to be clear to people, no matter who they are. And even if it's a magazine trying to sell you a subscription, it was about me expressing myself to say, no, I'm not interested in the subscription. I didn't really believe in blowing people off, anyone. Quick story about writing letters. Long before this, I was much younger. I loved Hostess apple pies. And one day there was a big chunk of wood in the apple pie, and I bit into it and it hurt my lip. And I thought that was terrible. So I took the piece of wood and I put it in a letter that I wrote and sent off to Hostess saying, I just think you should know that your quality control was a little lax on this batch because I got this piece of wood in my apple pie. And the company president sent me back a coupon for a free case of apple pies and their apologies for the piece of wood that was in my apple pie. So it really pays to communicate. Apple pies. Pays in apple pies, I guess, in that case.